Good afternoon and welcome to the Market Closing Show. This is the collab show between Business Today and India Today Television. I'm Sakshi Patra. This is the 3 p.m. show where we are going to be getting you all the market closing action. First up, let's take a look at what's hot in corporate and financial space. Volatility grips markets. Nifty trades near 25,750. The Sensex stays below 84,000. IT and FMCG drag while PSU banks rally with the Nifty PSU banking index up by 2%. Pharma and metal stocks also see strong buying today. Auto stocks in focus. Maruti Suzuki slips near 3%. That's despite posting highest ever monthly sales in October. M&M gains about 3% after reporting 26% growth in overall auto sales. Bajaj Auto's total sales also surged by 8%, with the stock trading in the green. It's IPO frenzy on Dalal Street. Lenskart is subscribed 2 times on day 2, but its grey market premium has now cooled to 56 rupees. Tata sees strong response, subscribed 20 times by day 3, right ahead of its November 7th listing. Up next, Pine Labs' 3,900 crore rupees IPO opens on November 7th. In yet another stark example of the IPO mania on D Street, the 6,630 crore rupees public issue of Groww has now received anchor bids of more than 50,000 crore rupees. This is more than 16 times its anchor book of 3,000 crores. Investors include SBI Mutual Fund, sovereign funds from Abu Dhabi, as well as Singapore and Norway. Big legal challenge to Tata Trusts as the ousted trustee Mehli Mistry now has filed a caveat with the Mumbai Charity Commissioner, ensuring his objections are heard before changes in the all-powerful Tata Trusts are formalized. His argument is contingent on a resolution passed last year, which made all trustees permanent after the expiry of their tenure. Straight away looking at how the markets are trading in the last 20 minutes of trade. Well, the Nifty is still hovering at 25,764. Most of the sectors are still hovering higher. You are seeing some pickup happen, even though the broad range of trade throughout the morning trade was pretty range bound with a lot of choppiness that has been witnessed. Now, apart from IT and from FMCG, rest all of the sectors are still holding up, and that's positive. We're also looking at a lot of NBFCs, auto names that are pulling up in trade, Tata Consumer Products. We're also seeing some earnings reaction among the stocks that are hovering higher. Let me quickly take you to our guest now. Abhishek Basu Malik, the co-founder and fund manager of Sri Rama Managers PMS, is now joining in to share with us his views on the markets. Abhishek, warm welcome. Good afternoon to you. Tell me, how are you looking at this absolute range-bound volatile trade over the last 1 week or so in the markets that we've seen? Every attempt for the bulls to go back towards 26,000 and beyond is challenged with selling pressure at higher levels. Why do you think the strength is lacking on the D Street?
So, good afternoon to you and all your viewers. I think it's good to see across the board stocks are doing well. Some part of it is probably because there is no bad news. Corporate results that are coming are probably at par or slightly ahead of expectations.
Okay.
Also because I think the expectations was also very below par. And we've not seen any negative news coming in from the US president or from the political side. So that's, I think, one major positive.
Okay. Abhishek, since you do say that a lot of earnings have actually not disappointed, have ideally come either in line or slightly better off than the expectations there, any particular sectors where you're seeing a lot of upgrades happen post the earnings, or, you are seeing the onset of the earnings recovery take place from this quarter? What would be those pockets and some stocks be?
So I think if you look at, say, for example, the cement companies, the results have been quite good. Some of the chemical companies that have come out with strong results. Banking, especially the PSU bank, again, pretty decent results. In fact, banking across the board, results have been reasonably good. So across the board, I think most of the companies where results were expected to be autos. I forgot autos, excellent results, and also very good monthly numbers. So that's also something which is driving the sectors. But overall, I think things are picking up. Impact of GST cuts, income tax cuts, etc., are sort of probably going to play out over the next 2 to 3 months, and that's the expectation. I think the two important things right now is one, the U.S. tariff announcement coming through. That's something that the market is going to look forward to, and uh, you know, and results season,
Sure.
how individual sectors look like, how they are able to negotiate these turbulent times, and probably the lastly, if RBI decides to
Yeah.
reduce rates, that's the three things that the market is going to look forward to.
Fantastic. You did briefly touch upon the auto segment. In fact, these sales figures have been coming in, and we are also getting to see the reactions of the auto companies on that as well. In fact, Maruti Suzuki, the largest car maker in India, has reported its highest ever monthly sales in October. Remember, this is also including some of the impact of the GST rationalization that has come in as well. Remember, Maruti has achieved a total sale of about 2.21 lakh units. In an exclusive conversation with Business Today's Chetan Bhutani, R.C. Bhargava, the chairman of Maruti Suzuki, did say that the real impact of GST rate cuts will actually be visible in Q3, and he also expects a small car sales under the 18% GST bracket to actually grow by over 10% over the next 2 quarters too.
Shows strong exports to CSO to begin with, but yes, it does not factor in the delay in the gap caused due to the people deferring its purchase decisions. How do you infer the numbers going forward right now?
I think the numbers are reflective of what the market has been till the end of the last quarter. The change came place after the GST came in, but that was too late to influence the numbers for the second quarter of the year. I think the real impact of GST on numbers and growth and maybe margins is likely to happen from the third quarter onwards. So I think it is the numbers as were to be expected. Nothing very extraordinary either way.
The first year of this year saw about growth of about 1.2 or degrowing at the same time. What growth are you expecting now in the second half? Because the real numbers will now be reflecting in the second half of the year. So what is the...
As far as Maruti is concerned, I'm expecting that in this 6-month period, October to March, this 18% segment should grow by around 10% a year, a month, overall. The 40% segment will not have much change from what it was doing, because there has been some slight improvement there also. It's not that it has not improved, but not to that extent. And overall, I think the car market in this next 6 months, instead of growing by the 2 to 3% which had been forecast, should get to 6 to 7%.
All right, from the auto space, let's actually look at the Tata Group as a whole. Remember, the stage is set for a legal battle of Tata Trusts with Mehli Mistry, the ousted trustee, now filing a caveat in the matter. The 65-year-old confidant of the late Ratan Tata has actually filed the caveat before Mumbai Charity Commissioner after his reappointment as a trustee of the Tata Trust was rejected last week. This caveat now seeks to ensure that he is heard before any further changes made on the board of the Tata Trusts. Mistry, who was also inducted onto the trust back in October 2022, is also the executor of Ratan Tata's will. Under the Maharashtra Public Trusts Act, the trust must report any change in the board to the Charity Commissioner within 90 days. A caveat now ensures that no change is finalized without giving the petitioner a chance to be heard. For more on this, we are now joined by my colleague Krishna Gopalan, Executive Editor of Business Today as well. Krishna, there is a new development development now, a caveat being placed. This seems to be even done before any sort of a change has been put in place. So this is preemptive in that matter. How are you looking at this?
This reference actually not entirely surprising because I'm just going to bring up a particular point that came up right after Mr. Tata's passing last year. So there was a resolution that was passed by the trustees saying that all appointments will be for life. But there's a bit of a condition attached to it saying that it had to be on the basis of unanimity, which means everybody has to be in favor of a reappointment. In the case of Mehli Mistry, once it came up, it was a 3-3, meaning you had three trustees in favor of it, 3 against it. So it got him in a very tricky situation. So we have to look at 2 factors here. One, to understand the sanctity of the unanimity clause that was passed last year, and therefore the options are left to Mehli Mistry at this point. So even if it was a 4-3 or it was a 4-2, Mehli would have still lost. The point is what is meant to be taken for granted in terms of being a lifetime trustee has suddenly gone under the scanner. To repeat myself, not entirely surprising that he's decided to take the legal route. He believes he's been wronged. And there's obviously a level of skepticism as far as the relationship between the trustees is concerned, something that all of us feared. We knew there's a bit of friction between the trustees. I think all that is coming out to the open now.
Okay, absolutely, Krishna. Is there any way that we can now feel that over the next 90 days, the time period that is given for any change to be, of course, given to the commissioner as well, because of this legal hearing, the matter will get elongated, and there could be also a chance that this reinstatement could also take place for Mehli Mistry, or he's done ousted for all?
No, I don't think he's ousted for all. Because if you go back and if there's a sanctity in the October 2024 resolution, the issue becomes very complicated. And I think he's obviously fighting for that. And there was a particular case where a trustee was appointed for life exactly a week before that. So Mistry believes that he's been wronged, and he's obviously gone to the Charity Commissioner with a case that he believes is kosher. But that said, given that it's straightforward, because to the trustees it appears to be an open and shut case, not to Mehli Mistry. So I think that disparity is what is creating a bit of a problem here.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Krishna, for all that. Of course, we'll keep coming back to you for any sort of development that takes place into this, legal trouble for Tata Trust that we are truly seeing at this point in time. Let me go across to Abhishek Basumalik yet again to seek his view on the entire development as well. Abhishek, how are you looking at when one of the largest conglomerates listed on the stock exchanges undergo a legal hassle, internal rift that actually spills out into the open? Would that also impact any of the stock market performance of the Tata Group? About 30 companies are listed from the group. Investors are heavily invested into such large group because it has proven to be a wealth creator. It has proven to be a trustworthy space to be in for large part of Indian investors. How are you looking at this development for them?
I don't think it really makes any difference to the operating companies because each company has their own boards. They are, they have their own management teams functioning independently. The challenge or the problem here is at the Tata Sons level and the Tata Trusts level, which is like one level above the operating company. So, it's not that tomorrow there's going to be a change in ownership. So it's just basically two groups fighting. It's good to see from outside, purely trying to understand the dynamics of such a large group and how things play out. But from an operating business perspective, I don't think it has any relevance.
Absolutely. So that's the tough, space that we have to continue to watch over as to what happens. But the good part is the operations will not be impacted with it. And that's some respite that all the investors of the Tata Group should be holding at this point in time. Now, when it comes to the investment opportunities, enough and more opportunities are also emerging in the primary market space for investors as well. Yet another IPO is actually ripe for taking for investors. You're talking about fintech major Pine Labs that's raising around 4,000 crore rupees with IPO opening this Friday. Business Today Television's Asta Chopra also spoke to Amrish Rao, the chairman of the company, who confirmed his focus on staying purely a technology-first fintech company, steering clear of lending NBFC licensing. Let's listen into that.
We've actually mentioned out there that we will want to continue to invest into the business and grow our business both in India as well as globally, and that's where some of these proceeds will be put to use.
So you're targeting the big valuation around several billions of rupees. What are the specific growth and profitability metrics just to justify the business
See, we've actually been growing as a company at almost 60% at a GTV level. In terms of the number of transactions, we've been growing at almost at about 50% on a year-on-year basis. And purely in terms of the number of merchants which have been coming on our platform, we've been growing at about 30% on a year-on-year basis. We've also worked extremely hard to increase our EBITDA profile, the adjusted EBITDA. In the latest quarter that we went out with, we were almost at a 20% adjusted EBITDA level. So a company which has been operating at about a 20% revenue growth, a 20% of adjusted EBITDA, we feel this is the valuation which is appropriate, and that's what we've gone out with.
So are you willing to expand your business outside of India, or are there any pipeline countries you want to target, or in India also you're creating a larger portfolio?
See, our focus has been on the side where we can increase our presence with the number of retailers and the number of banks and financial institutions that we partner with.
Okay.
Now, for doing that, both the retailers as well as the banks and financial institutions have their own unique requirements which goes and fits into their own operating model. One of the examples that I like to give is we actually work with road traffic institutions where in many states the police for road traffic actually uses our platforms and uses our technology services. But that's just one example wherein we've embedded ourselves into an existing business problem that client or that customer was facing. So we've taken an approach which says what is the business requirements, where does payments fit into those business requirements, build capabilities for that, and then effectively we are able to grow our business along with that client.
In the space of IPOs, Lenskart IPO has already got 2x subscription on day 2 already. In fact, the debate around Lenskart's valuation rages on social media. And earlier, I actually spoke to Siddharth Pai of 314 Capital and Dhananjay Sinha of Systematics Group to really try and understand that while there is a lot of debate and discussion around whether the fair valuation exists for Lenskart for newer investors to participate and unlock some valuation for themselves as well, at 70,000 crore rupees, is Lenskart truly valuable or not? In fact, this is what they had to say. Let's listen in.
I think the best way to compare them is actually like-to-like peers. I think comparing new age companies to new age companies is a bit of an apples and oranges comparison.
Okay.
Yes, they're all fruits for that matter, but it depends on what your appetite is and where you believe these kind of gains can end up happening. Like I said, if you look at the just tackling the first question you raised as of now with regard to the size of the company versus the overall Indian ICAI market, I think that's a fantastic way of people actually massaging these narratives for their own ends and means. It's a fairly unorganized place as there as of now. The chunk of the revenue comes, but close to 40% of the revenue actually comes from overseas. I think a large number of investors coming in are looking at that overseas revenue growth and saying because this person has spent a large amount of time getting vertically integrated and thereby helping to actually reduce costs. And the EBITDA margin improvement from about 6.8% to 14-15%, hopefully going to 20%, does actually give them a lot of cause to end up actually believing that this company is now actually on a profitable path. So long as it continues the growth, they will end up actually giving that valuation.
But I would say that given the context of the quality of earnings that is being reported at this juncture, I think those assumptions need to be taken more seriously, and I don't think we can have a blind faith in the assumptions that people are making at this juncture. The company will need to deliver and deliver profits and these margins, etc., that people are assuming. So I would say that I would reiterate that there is no dearth of value stocks, value opportunities, even in the consumption space. There are other companies in this space which are growing very rapidly, and there is using the same theme, I would say, and have much wider set of operating matrix. So I think there's no great hurry at this juncture. There are other opportunities that are available. So I would say investors might want to weigh multiple options.
Right, let's go across to Abhishek Basumalik to really make sense of all the IPOs that are actually coming in and what sort of an opportunity should you be really scouting in case you are looking at this space very clearly. Abhishek, I do know that you look at IPO space very, very selectively. There are just one or two of IPOs that you have vocally talked about on the channel before as well. But look at the kind of rush that there is, and of course from the new age companies, Lenskart, despite all that noise, despite everybody questioning the surge in valuations in just about 3 months' time, how Piyush Bansal himself bought it at a much lower level, at much lower valuation just about 3-4 months ago, and how suddenly, so all those questions kept on coming. But despite that, fully subscribed on day one, 2-time subscription on day 2 already is what we have. Similarly, now we have Pine Labs. You already heard the management there. We have Groww that is opening tomorrow. Already the anchor book is subscribed by over 16 times. That's the kind of appetite that we are seeing for the IPO space. How are you advising investors to really put their heads around and finalize where do they need to put in their money?
So I think the easiest thing to do is to look at companies where you think there is a good business model, where the business itself is profitable, especially if it is coming to market after being in business for a number of years. And, so that should be the first thing. I mean, as I always say, valuation is in the eye of the beholder, right? It's, people can quarrel about it, people can discuss it, but end of the day, it is individual choice. People can, people may be willing to pay up for growth, people may be willing to pay up for market share, and so on and so forth. Personally, for me, for most of the IPOs that are, upcoming, I would again want to sit out. There's not a single case where, it's a very, very compelling buy. Pine Labs, good company, but, still to be really profitable. I mean, if you've been in the business for 5 years, 10 years, and if you're not able to become profitable, then let me, sort of wait and see how the numbers, come up, and then we can always take a call. It's not that, the opportunity of investment stops with the IPO. It actually starts with the IPO. You can always take a position 6 months, 10 months, a year later. And if you look at history, all the new age IPOs, after listing, it went down significantly,
Right.
but it did give an opportunity for people to buy in at lower levels and then make good money. So opportunity is always going to be there.
Absolutely. Let's look at the market closing. Then it's 3:30 viewers, and we've ended about 53 points higher in trade as far as the Nifty is concerned. 25,775 on your screens right there. So we managed to pull up from the low point and just ending near the high point of the day. Let's pull up even the Nifty bank for all of you to see. It's the PSU banks that have actually driven that last half an hour of move there as well. About 0.6% of a higher close for this one. Look at the PSU banks. That's the star for the banking space as well. Almost 2% higher in trade right now. All the other sectors also that pulled up. Real estate pulled up. It's the top mover in terms of the sectoral action today. Pharma stocks also did quite well. Oil and gas also pulled up in trade. Those were the sectors that really did very well. Look at the real estate, 2.2% higher in trade. But IT and FMCG from the defensive pack, a little behind in trade as far as the stock markets are concerned. But let's look at the stock market performance in terms of the Nifty gainers and losers as well. Of course, you had Shriram Finance, of course, record high levels, 6.3% higher today. Tata Consumer Products about 3% up. Apollo Hospitals also driving about 1.8% higher in trade. These were the top 3 movers. M&M, Zomato, and even SBI moved up about 1.5% each in the trade today. But when we look at the laggards, Maruti Suzuki, despite posting in that record high number on the auto sales figure in October, 3.3% of a drag coming in on that one. ITC, TCS also slipping back in trade as well. So these were the top laggards in trade. But let's in fact go back to understanding from Abhishek as to some of the queries that are coming in from all of you viewers, and we have picked out a few questions for him as well. Let's quickly look at the first query that we have. This one is from Purva Ghosh from Kolkata. Wants to know about again the IPO space that we were just asking. Pine Labs versus Groww versus Studs versus Lenskart. Which of the IPO is best to invest in? Putting you in a spot, Abhishek, and sorry for that. Help me understand any one of these that you truly want our viewer from Kolkata to focus on right now. What would you say?
See, I mean, out of all these, probably Groww and Stud might be slightly better in terms of, if I have to look at them, because they are in a niche space, they're making money. I would, if I have to choose between these, I would probably go for Studs and Groww.
Okay, got that. Groww and Studs. Shivam from Mumbai says, will the PSU banking rally sustain? And can you suggest any top 2 or 3 stocks to invest in from the PSU banking space? Any top choice there? Abhishek, and do you see, flavor returning to PSU banks yet again?
I think the overall banking space, whether it's PSU or private banks, MFIs, NBFCs, I think the entire space is, looking good. PSU banks especially look good because the valuations are more reasonable. But the entire banking space looks, much more, looks pretty interesting. Stock picks, I think you can look at any one of the, frontline stocks, and most of them should do well.
Okay, got that. Frontline would mean the larger ones among all the ones that are listed in the PSU space. It would mean SBI, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank. You could be looking at any of these banks as well in space. Let me also look at the next question that's coming in. This is from Sarthak Sinha from Delhi. And he asks you, Abhishek, which are the best opportunities in real estate, infrastructure, or cement or paints? So the real estate sector and the allied sector. Anything within this infra space that you particularly are bullish on? You began the show by saying that you are bullish on cement. Would you be able to take any picks there, or would you also extend cement to any other segment?
Yeah, I think cement is a sector which has not done well for many years, and it's it's coming out of that cycle and starting to pick up. So cement is actually a medium to long-term play. Real estate continues to it's going to be slightly, sort of patchy quarter to quarter because the numbers are not going to be linear. But overall, I think the real estate, the mid-income to the luxury real estate, that space, not the low-income housing, but the middle-income and the high-income housing stocks also could do actually quite well.
Okay, all right, Abhishek. Out of time now. Thank you so much for being with us on the show and giving us all those insights. Always appreciate your presence there. Viewers, in case you also have any questions, you can send them to us on the number that's flashing on your screens as well. And with that, it's a wrap on the Business Today show. Many thanks for joining in. But do join me back tomorrow morning, market opening action at 9 a.m. Of course, I'll be seeing you on India Today.